I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
I ask people all the time. I deal with male and females. I do counseling. You say, I can't find the best guy. I can't find the best girl. I said, if I gave you your dream person right now, if I could draft up your dream person, you write out what your dream person is. If they wrote their list out, would you be on their list? You're so focused on what's on your list. I want her she needs to be 5'7", she needs to be brown skin, she needs to be this size, needs to be this, needs to be a lawyer. If she wrote her list out, would you be on? So I don't know. You can write your don't want to act right. No, you ain't acting. You gotta be what's on her list as well as what she's on, what's on your list. Stop being one-sided. You want the dream job, but you don't want to be the dream person. You want to be the dream CEO, but you don't want to be the dream hard-working person. It's just what you want, not what you're willing to give. Life gives to the giver.
You talked about going to the law library and working for. You said you studied for 8 years to get yourself out. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into, Kelly.
Most people are arrested, tried and convicted, and most of us plead guilty. I went to trial on some of my cases. And the ones I went to trial on, this is the thing about criminal justice. At trial, when you're arrested, when they arrest you, it depends if they like you or not. The cop decides if he's actually going to arrest you or not. And we know white kids or other kids get breaks that we don't. So if you even get arrested, it's dependent upon the cop. Then once you're arrested, what he actually charges you with is, now we look at the capital situation. These people are being charged with trespassing. If the 5 of us had went into that capital and somebody died, you get a rule in South Carolina called the hand to one, the hand to all, or joint venture. What one did, you all did. But all of a sudden, the hand to one, hand to all doesn't apply in a capital raid. We're looking at the most serious offenders. Now, every time I seen a raid, the police surround the building and they lock up everybody inside.
Hell yeah.
So these people ran into the Capitol. By my understanding of the law that I experienced in my neighborhoods, when they come to that, the stormtroopers should have covered the back door, the front door, and every single person in that building, including the reporters, because you don't have the right to break into a house because you're doing news, should have been in handcuffs. Then you can sort the rest out later. You should not have to go look for anybody. This is simple. The law says whoever crosses the threshold of the Capitol is out of bounds, period. Once you cross through that door, if you was on the front steps, you're good. Once you cross through that threshold, you are officially trespassing, broken entering, or whatever you want to call it, and you are subject to whatever happens in there. You are part of the mob. What one does, they all do. But when it came to them, the law applied to them. Not one person I can think of was arrested in the building.
Nope.
They were all ushered back out. Now they're on TV looking for the more serious ones. Versus the law says whoever walked through that door is out of bounds. That's how they apply it to us. So who gets arrested is the first thing, if you get arrested. Then when you do get arrested, what do they charge you with? Everybody should be, now I'm not advocating, but by law, they should all be charged with felony murder, joint venture. You're getting trespassing, you're getting this. They're hand-picking cases for people. With us, everybody gets a RICO until somebody starts telling. How do you think they get people to tell? Charge everybody with $1 million years. If I knew as the front dude on the corner, I'm facing 6 months, I'm good. When you tell that little dude who ain't got nothing, he's gonna get 100 years, he starts telling. That's how that works. The boss it's like RICO, everybody's going down in smoke. So how they charge you is different. Now, once you get to court, this is the thing about court. It's not who did it, it's who can tell the best lie. Whoever can tell the best lie at trial wins. It's not about guilt, it's who can tell the best lie.
Damn.
And on appeal, it's not about did you do it, it's about did they tell the best lie and follow the rules. That's criminal justice. From the time on the corner, the cop that picks you up, to the district attorney that charges you, to the trial hearing, to appeal. It's never really about did you do it.
It's about did they believe you did it?
Can they prove that you did it? How many people have you seen in the last 5 years released from prison? Oh, you didn't do it 37 years later. Oop, you didn't do it 10 years later. Oops, you didn't do it. So that means at trial,
They knew that shit.
even if they didn't know, it's always, I'm not going to say they knew, at trial is who can tell the best lie. Because if you got 100 people released in the last 5 years who didn't do it, then evidently you got that shit wrong at trial, but you still convinced them. So whoever can tell the best lie at trial wins. Then when you get to appeal, the question is, did you tell the lie properly? Did you follow the procedures properly to tell the best lie? And oftentimes, a district attorney or a judge or DA or cop or somebody will do something human, which is called make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, can you find the mistake that human made in your scenario? Did they not show your picture right? Did they not do this? Did they not do that? Did they not do this? They look for that. OJ, who can tell the best lie?
Mm-hmm.
The glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Who can tell the best lie?
So
How about did you do it?
how did you apply that to your scenario, my brother?
I went to court on mine, and my case was overturned based on double jeopardy because I did my crime. I was charged with armed carjacking. That's what my charge was. So in one county, when I went to a county and I took a car from somebody by force. Took the car, boom, I take off. I get arrested in another county days later. When they catch me in the other county, they charge me with possession of a stolen car because that's all I got to them. When they send my picture to where the car came from, they said, oh my God, he took the car by force with a gun. So they charged me with armed robbery. So in one county it's armed robbery, one county is loss of a motor vehicle. But I stole the same item. I stole the same object. So I was going back in court for both. I pled guilty to the lesser one because my girl was in the car. So I took the guilty so she could walk. It was nothing. Then I got found guilty at trial later. So on appeal, they said you convicted him twice for stealing the same object. So the second case got thrown out. Now, mind you, I went to my lawyer, as naive as I was, as illiterate as I was, I had 2 pieces of paper. I went to my lawyer, I said, yo, lawyer, this one says I stole a 1985 Honda. This one says I did an armed robbery and I stole a 1985 Honda. Is this double jeopardy? And he told me no.
What?
He told me no.
Oh,
So
wow.
I ain't say nothing. Fast forward, when I went up on appeal, guess what it was? Double jeopardy. That lawyer has, when I was home like 4 years ago, he sent me an email, reached out, yo, Dre, I want to apologize to you. I know I did you dirty. Come on, that was basics. That was basics. My lawyer should have said, let's plead guilty in the lower court. He should have went to trial court and said, you got no jurisdiction. And I would have walked out with a 6-month probation. I should have walked out with 6 months probation. But my lawyer was like, nah, my lawyer. But the key word is he's a public defender. They don't see us as the public.
They figure that you're the criminal and they're protecting you from the public. They're protecting the public from you.
My lawyer, I showed it to him, 2 pieces of paper. It said armed robbery, it said loss. And I said, dude, is this double jeopardy? He looked me right in my face and said, no.
Yes.
That's
Same.
crazy.
Wow.
So-
Oh no, go ahead, Jalen.
I was just about to say, so it took you 8 years to find the mistakes that the human made.
I found a mistake when I was in the county. When I got to the prison system, I didn't go to the law library. I went to the yard. I went to the weight pile. I went to the track. I started teaming up. I'm bidding. There's so many people who go to court because we're not academics. We're not really educational inclined. To go down and sit down and have the discipline of reading law books for hours and hours and hours just isn't built into us. So I'm not an avid reader. I'm not an avid student. So now you want me to sit in this law library and read all this crazy wording on stuff that I don't understand. So I'm just gonna go to y'all and hang out with my fellas. But when I turned my attitude around, I realized to get out of jail, I need to sit there. And by then I had sat like 3 years in solitary, so I learned how to sit still.
So it's low key a blessing and a curse that mistake happened. Because do you think that if you would have got out in those 6 months, you'd have probably been doing the same shit and wound up?
If I'd have been on the street during the crack era, I'd have either been dead, I'd have got 100 years of being a crack kingpin or killing somebody for being a crack kingpin or something. And had I stayed out, I hadn't changed from who I was or what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would have kept doing the same thing. So there's no question, had I been released earlier or not sent at that time, I was on that track. And those of us who are in the streets, we just keep catching cases until they stop, till they give us that bid. You go ask anybody, catch this case, they go right back out. This case, go right back out. This case, go right back out. Until something changes, you'll do the same thing. So I would have undoubtedly done the same thing.
Man, Andre, man, you got me thinking about a lot with this, man. So with this, after you got out of your situation, you were able to get out of your own situation through your studies. When did you get into the raising the? I remember you mentioned you raised $25 million for a program with Harvard.
When we came home, I came home in 1999. About 4 months later, I got hired by a nonprofit, and the nonprofit was they did gang stuff, but I was like a top gang leader, so I could actually bridge arguments and mediate problems that other people couldn't. And I had access to people behind the walls who trusted and respected me, so I could actually mediate stuff in a way that other people couldn't. Then when I got my staff together, I got 15 real dudes. And I know make-believe porch monkey, I'm saying this, yes, sir. I got real dudes. I went around the city and got bosses, more parts that said, yo, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to hold this down. Now, we didn't do it for the money, but I understand money. There's $275 billion being spent for this issue. The police department, believe it or not, gets the majority of the money for youth programs. The same person who's in charge of locking you up is in charge of getting the money for the youth programs. Because what happens is when money comes into the city, here's $100 million, mayor, who in your staff, who in your divisions handle youth? The police department. So you send them the $100 million. You don't send it to the boys club, the YMCA, the nonprofits, the mom on the corner who's helping people out. As the mayor, when you get $100 million or $20 million or $50 million or $20, who in your sphere handles you? The police department. So you shift it to them. So now you have the same entity who's trying to lock you up, trying to help you. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely challenging. So as a government agency, you're being tasked to go with your people. So when we came, we said, oh, we got a whole nother platform. Your people aren't the people. We're the people. So the question is, I ask people, do you want to manage the problem or do you want to fix the problem? And I ask them all the time, especially white folks, if Al-Qaeda group kidnapped you and held you hostage in the Middle East someplace in a basement, how many years would you need to be in captivity before you trusted them? They said never. I said, so when do you think criminals are going to start trusting you?
Message.
So it's not even about right or wrong. If Al-Qaeda believes that they caught you justfully and that you're violating their whatever, how many years in captivity before you start trusting Al-Qaeda?
Never.
So how many years in captivity before we start trusting the people who held us hostage?
Never.
Not.
And that's where we are. So you can't fix the problem.
Because you're causing the problem.
There's no trust.
And I kind of want to talk to that now. After you made your transformation and stuff, you got your guys together. Like, how was it you going back and telling people, like, hey man, the life that we live in, this ain't the life. This is not it. How do you transform the minds of people who hadn't seen the light yet, who hadn't got to that realization that you got to, man, I'm not the boss because I can't let myself out of here?
Two things. People respect money. They respect things done. So when we were kids, we saw the guy with the shiny car or the girls, and he had results. So we wanted his results. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't want the results of the guy who goes to work every day and takes the bus, carrying the lunch pail. That ain't results. We see the guy with the money. We see the NBA players with the money. We see the football players and the rappers with the status, and their results make us want to be them. So when I show up, it's not just, yo, man, your life sucks. Does LeBron James really need to sell basketball? No. It sells itself. For him, he's like, yo, man, I make $80 million a year. You want to try this? Yeah. So Rich Paul, his agent, he probably makes $30 million a year. You want to be an agent? Yeah. So when I come back, it's not your life is stupid or you're out of bounds. Hey, this is an option. I'm doing real numbers. Not only am I doing good work for our people, but I'm doing real numbers. I'm pushing real whips. I'm flying around the world. Yo, look at me in Italy. Yo, look at me in France. Yo, look at me over here. I got floor seats to the Laker game. I got floor seats to the Mavs. I'm on a 50-yard line. I'm not giving up. I'm not saying, hey, quit your life and go be a 9-to-5 guy and be bored.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hella good time.
And you helping people.
I do. I help people. I make money, and I travel the world. I don't apologize for none of it.
That's all right. But I do also want to ask a question with that. For somebody who might be listening, who actually like wants to try to make a difference or wants to try to help people, can you speak a little bit to that nonprofit process, or like how did you go into the formation of doing that so that you could, facilitate you having these guys together and getting everybody paid and still having that ability to travel and all the rest of that?
Okay, well, my first nonprofit, when I came in, I knew nothing about the nonprofit world. I knew I had a talent, which was engaging with criminal people because I understood the life. So when you go back and you look at sports, most athletes don't understand their talent beyond the field, beyond the court. So how do you make money outside of that? Like Master P revolutionized music, not just because he sold records, but he ran the business. He understood the business side of it. So I started learning. So during my off times, I sat with the secretary. She taught me how to answer phones. I sat with the accountant. He taught me accounts payable, accounts receivable. I sat with the director. He taught me about hiring and firing people. The most important thing you ever do, Dre, the most important decision is who you hire because they represent you and you can't take it back. Then I started sitting with all the different people who taught me the aspects of running a nonprofit. Just because you're LeBron James doesn't mean you know how to run a basketball team. You know how to play on a basketball team, but running tickets, seats, cleaning, licensing, insurances, there's a lot more than just dribbling the ball. So running a team is different than being on the team. So I learned running the nonprofit. Then once I learned how to run the nonprofit, I know how all the pieces move, then you couldn't jerk me. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. You come in the talented guy and they use you until they don't need you, then they slide you out the door. You never see it coming. They just want to suck up your intellectual property. Hey, Dre, how would you fix this? Hey, Dre, how do you see that? Hey, Dre, how does this work? And you just run in your mouth. But I got to learn the business. And luckily for me, my first mentor taught me the business. Harvard University had created a program based on a Black encyclopedia created by Henry Louis Gates. And they had an after-school program that was based on that, and it was going great, then it fell apart. And in the end, they brought me to Harvard. Me and my boss went to Harvard to a meeting to talk about this program. We get there, it's a dinner, we go inside, all the people are there, and they tell us the problem. That they had the program, the kids were coming, cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, everybody disappeared. And they brought in this guy from Sweden, they brought in this guy from Japan, they brought in this guy from Texas, and they can't figure out what the problem is. And I asked them after the third, I said, well, what did the kids say? No. We brought the guy in from Japan. I said, no, I heard that part. What did the kids say? No, we brought the guy in from I said, no, I heard that part. Who asked the kids why they stopped coming? And it took me about 5 times of saying it, then the light bulb went off like, oh, we just need to interview the kids because they're the source and they're the reason. But they ushered me right out the meeting's over. Shoved me and my man out the door. The meeting was over, only me and my man left. We get outside, my boss turns to me, he says, Dre, give me 200,000. I said, man, you know I ain't got no 200,000. I said, man, give me 200,000. I said, I got 200. He said, that's how much you gave them in information just now. They've already spent $500,000 trying to fix this program. You fix it in 10 minutes for some food you don't even like. Ooh. He said, you just gave them $200,000 worth of information. Had they had to pay for that, it'd been a minimum of $200,000 for an expert to fix that problem for them. And that's when I started understanding the value of information. Because the information I gave them redirected an entire program, and they'd have had to pay experts $200,000 for the same information they got from me for free. So now I go to these multi-billion-dollar companies who have problems, and I understand the value of my information. If not just what am I doing, but what am I impacting? What are we talking about? I got a company right now worth $2 billion. And I can't do that part. So this is the chart they gave me. It's like $853 million. I'm reviewing their program. They made $853 million last year. Dre, here's our program. Look through it. Tell us what the problem is. Tell us how to go forward. Now, I understand you got a company that produces $853 million a year in profit, and you need to get it to like 2.1 billion. And I created the system, this part. This is a system that they're running it on. I created this. And so they're like, Dre, okay, now help us get over the hump. Let's go. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to take a $2 billion company and sell it for $4 billion. And my part is to help you. I'm not the whole solution, but I'm going to be a cog in the wheel to make that happen. I understand the value of my information. So many people don't appreciate and understand the value that they don't know what to do with it. And then there's always a person. I remember people used to write raps. They got all these raps and they would never let them out. Can't let them be him. They're going to steal my stuff. The next, trap music came out, your shit's garbage. You know what I'm saying? You had all these raps, you hold it, boom, and something else come out, your shit's useless. Don't be scared of people stealing your stuff. It's gonna get stolen. It's how the world works. So when I started early on understanding the value of my insights, the fact that I didn't have a degree, the fact that I don't is irrelevant. Can you fix this problem? All businesses want to know is, can you fix my problem? Not where's your degree from? You can get a guy from Harvard who can't fix it. You get a guy from community college who can. Who do you hire?
The guy that can fix it.
Can.
I'm the guy who can.
And that's what
I'm not diminishing education or degrees. I'm just saying people want the person who can fix it. Now, if it's a guy who can fix it from Harvard, the guy who can fix it from community college, you take the Harvard guy.
I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.